Welcome to this episode of our program Daily Debate. Before I start with our topic, or before I start with anything, let me say that this is the first day of the holy month of Ramadan, so may it be a blessed month filled with peace, prosperity, and all good deeds. Today we'll be speaking about two topics. The first is the inauguration of the president to one of the biggest Islamic centers that have been built so far. It's the biggest project in the new administrative capital. This inauguration happened or took place this dawn. The president inaugurated the Islamic Cultural Center at the administrative capital, as I said. That was, or in a ceremony that was attended by Sheikh, the Grand Sheikh of Al-Azhar, Dr. Ahmed Al-Tayyib, Minister of Awqaf, Dr. Muhammad Mukhtar Goma, and a large number of statesmen, officers, and intellectuals, of course, and scholars. This is, this center is supposed to be having a great role, particularly at this upcoming stage, in integration, of course, and under the supervision of the Al-Azhar institution. We'll be speaking about the role of that center. We'll be speaking about this new minaret of culture, this new minaret of Islam. We'll be speaking about that in our episode, in our first segment, and in our next segment we'll be speaking about an important meeting the president held with the cabinet in order to be able to transfer the government into the new capital in line of the state's path towards a new era, the new republic. We'll be speaking about that in our next segment. Before we delve into our first segment, let's have this report and the new, this Islamic Culture Center. Let's watch.
On the eve of the first day of the holy month of Ramadan, President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi inaugurated Egypt's Islamic Cultural Center in the new administrative capital early Thursday. In his brief statement, the president said it is important to be together on this great occasion, praising the efforts of workers in the new capital over the past few years. President al-Sisi was accompanied by senior statesmen including Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli, Minister of Foreign Affairs Sameh Shukri, Al-Azhar Grand Imam Ahmed Al-Tayyib, and the Minister of Religious Endowments Muhammad Mukhtar Goma. President al-Sisi was briefed on the center built in the government district and comprising Egypt Mosque, which is the world's second largest mosque. The new Islamic Cultural Center is a vital cultural center not only in Egypt, but in Africa as well. It will be a hub of activities and learning opportunities for people of all ages and backgrounds. The center is a symbol of Egypt's commitment to preserving its cultural heritage with embracing modernity. The celebration was a time to recognize and honor the dedication and hard work of those involved in making the project a reality. The center's opening is a significant milestone for Egypt, emphasizing its cultural and religious diversity and commitment to fostering intellectual growth and development. The Islamic Cultural Center in Egypt will provide an essential platform for Egyptians to learn about their religion and culture while welcoming people from all over the world to explore and appreciate their rich history and traditions. The mosque extends over an area of 19,100 square meters. It has 3 main entrances surmounted by Islamic domes and a 4th service entrance. The mosque can accommodate up to 107,000 worshippers, including 12,000 in its 9,600-meter main prayer hall, 40,000 in the upper hall, and 55,000 in the lower hall. It also has a number of halls for various ceremonies and chambers for teaching Quran to men, women, and children. The establishment has a parking lot and a 7-story parking whose capacity is 3,000 cars. Ahead of the inauguration, the president had the suhoor with workers in the capital, according to a statement by the presidential spokesperson Ahmed Fahmy. He also listened to religious songs by a number of youth singers. Moreover, President El-Sisi also thanked the participants, workers, singers, and musicians, praising efforts exerted by workers of the administrative capital.
بشكر طبعا الشباب والايد العافيه اللي بتشتغل وبتعمل الاعمال الرائعه ديت على مدى السنين اللي فاتت يعني.
The government has started relocating 30,000 public employees to the new capital since the beginning of the year. This step is expected to be completed by April.
Right, welcome back. And as we've seen, this enormous area for this enormous project that was inaugurated by the president, this is in line with our path towards confronting the new challenges through preachers and scholars who are able very much indeed to work on the ideologies or the radical ideologies and give the wide image of Islam as well as the wide essence of Islam. To highlight the issue we have with us over the phone, Dr. Asma Al-Zaini, official of Foreign Relations and International Cooperation, Education Development Center for Al-Azhar International Students, Al-Azhar at Al-Azhar Al-Sharif Institution. Good evening to you. And
good evening.
And a blessed Ramadan, or Ramadan Kareem for you and all your beloved.
Good evening and a blessed Ramadan for whoever celebrating today.
Right. So we've followed this report, and we have followed together the inauguration of the Islamic Cultural Center, this dome, and it was so enormous. Can you tell us more about this enormous project?
Actually, it was a very good omen to begin that holy month of Ramadan with the inauguration of such a wonderful place like the Islamic Cultural Center, Egyptian Center in the new administrative capital. It's so nice that the Egyptian country is keen to have such a place which is going to assess and assure that Egypt cultural and religious and social status among all Muslim and Arab countries.
If I may ask you about the center itself, because it contains lots of courtyards, it contains lots of services, and I guess that the keenness of the leadership to attend along with the Grand Sheikh of Al-Azhar and the Mufti of the Republic, it was enormous. So let me take, how do you view or how do you read the role of this center at this upcoming stage, particularly at a time when we are facing ideologies that needs to be put into the right course?
I believe I see that the situation that attended by the President Al-Sisi and the senior officials and the Grand Imam and the Mufti and all the Prime Minister and all Egyptian officials, it's a clear message to the whole world that Egypt is here. Egypt is at the heart of the Islamic world and the Arab world. Egypt is very keen on its status as a center for culture and education, for not only for Egyptians, and for all people from all over the world. This is the clear message of the leadership keen to deliver to the world.
The role of the center as you see it, Dr. Zaina?
Yeah, the center is going to be a center open for all Egyptians to know about their historical, cultural, intellectual, and religious status and history and heritage, and also open for all people from all over the world to know about the Egyptian history and Egyptian culture and intellect and characters and religious leaders and all figures.
Right, definitely. We're speaking here about courtyards for worshippers, so we're speaking about courtyards for the recitation of Quran. We're speaking about training courses that are supposed to be given in centers inside or courtyards inside the inside the center for all the preachers and the scholars. We're speaking about a range of services that will be submitted. So how do you view the role of the center in integration with Al-Azhar al-Sharif or under the supervision of Al-Azhar al-Sharif?
If I'm going to talk about the role of the center, I'm going to take a word from the speech by the Grand Imam during the inauguration ceremony. He said that this is a very good sign that on the first night of Ramadan is the inauguration of such a center to say clearly that science and knowledge and religion cannot be separated. If you are well-religioned, well-practicing Muslim, you should know about your history and your culture. It cannot be separated. It's one part. It is your own character. It cannot be separated. You cannot leave reading about culture and history to be only a religious man, to be a true religious leader, whatever, teacher, to a preacher, to guiding people. You should guide people and teach people about their true history, their true culture, true traditions.
Right. Dr. Asma, if I may ask you here, the President has very much, and the leadership, has been urging religious institutions and scholars to intensify the efforts to spread the real essence and values of Islam. How do you view that at this upcoming stage, and how important is that?
This is a persistent need that we need to make it clear for all preachers, for teachers, whoever guiding people, that what the change that happened in the Egyptian community is the result that youth especially are not aware of the true values of their religion, whatever Muslim or Christians. They are not aware of the value of their true history, the leaders who guided people for years. If education, if systematic education or educational organizations are not guiding people, then cultural centers should play their role. And I hope that this center, the wonderful one that was inaugurated today, is going to be the pioneering center in this field, culturing people about their true values of their whatever religion, about their history, about their heritage of Egyptian community.
Right. Dr. Asma Zaini, official of Foreign Relations and International Cooperation Education Development Center for Al-Azhar International students at Al-Azhar institution. We thank you so much for being with us. Before we delve into our discussion, let's first have this quick report and we'll come back for more discussion.
President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi holds cabinet meeting at the Strategic Leadership Center in the new administrative capital. The President held a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli and cabinet members at the Strategic Leadership Center in the new administrative capital. The spokesman for the Presidency, Councillor Ahmed Fahmi, stated that the meeting discussed the government's plan to relocate ministries and various state agencies and institutions to the new administrative capital. President al-Sisi directed that efforts made to ensure a smooth transition to the new capital in a comprehensive and qualitative manner be intensified. This would be achieved not only through modernization of buildings and premises, but also through qualification of workers and the provision of training programs to government personnel to teach them modern scientific methods of administration. These efforts in turn would contribute to establishment of an efficient and effective administrative body. Moreover, such efforts would contribute to the shift towards smart government and the beginning of a new era of providing outstanding digitized services to citizens. Going towards the new republic requires the efforts, action and sacrifice of all loyal Egyptians to build a better present and future for Egypt. The spokesman added that the President was also briefed on developments in the implementation of the first phase of Hayya Karima initiative, which aims to develop the Egyptian countryside. He was also briefed as well on measures taken to commence the second phase of the initiative.
Right, welcome back into our second segment, and our second segment is important as the first one. And the President has already discussed the government's plan to relocate ministries in various state agencies and institutions to the new administrative capital in a comprehensive and qualitative manner to be intensified at this upcoming stage in order to be able to start our new era or start with the new republic. This has been for some years postponed, but it became a necessity to start ahead with the plans of the state. Also, the President was also briefed on the developments in the implementation of the first phase of Hayya Karima and the next phase of it, this very, very huge initiative that covers almost half of the whole population, and at the same time is very much aiming to develop the Egyptian countryside at large. Around 60 million people are very much taking or under the protection of this initiative. If I may highlight this, let me first welcome our distinguished guest, Dr. Kholy, Professor of Economics. Thank you so much for being with us.
Pleasure to be here.
Thank you. So we've seen, definitely you've seen yesterday and you followed the inauguration of the new Islamic Center, right?
Mm-hmm. We have, if you take a look for the last few years, in a daily basis or on a weekly basis, we have a new event. So we are moving in the right direction. Last week we have a mega project with the French government for phosphate, for example, and magnesium. And today in the event of When the Sun Rises, we saw the new event with the Islamic Culture Center.
That is huge project.
It is a huge project, yes, and it's really, we're preparing ourselves to transfer Egyptian message for all our neighbor, for all African country. It's not only the building, but what's going on in that building in the future, where we're preparing our people in order to transform a clear message for what is the real value of Islamic values, and we have to apply this value in the future in order to enhance our value system all over the African nation and most of Arab nations.
That was my entrance towards the other important meeting which took place. The President today held this cabinet meeting, or held a meeting with the cabinet, the Prime Minister and the ministers inside the cabinet, to review the plan of the government to relocate the ministries in various state agencies and institutions to the new administrative capital. Your reading?
First of all, it is not yesterday. We started that 3 years ago with for example, the Academy of Anti-Corruption, for example, and many other institutions. We train people for the last 3 years in order to make this transformation. Remember, when President Sisi talked about this movement, it's not only the building or technology, but also we have to invest the people who are going to be working in the new capital and with new building. For example, we train people for the last 3 years in order to be able to cope with the new challenge, with new technology. It's fully integrated digital transformation, digitalization in the new capital. And the process is simply to implement governance in the new capital, transparency, and how to use the new technology in order to ease up the process of project and the work style in the new capital.
Indeed, and that was one of the issues that the President spoke about, which is transferring, or the transfer into the digital, or rather the digital transformation of the whole country in order to be able to start with this new era or the new republic.
Absolutely.
How the transfer into the new administrative capital has become inevitable anymore, and should be stepped on?
We should really start and remember all the capital, or the current capital. It's really Cairo, for example. It is most of the crowded city worldwide. You know, it became the third crowded city for the whole world. In India, New Delhi, in other country, but Cairo considered to be the third crowded city. And the movement of new capital, which is not far away, it's about 40 kilometers from the capital, and we build all the infrastructure, all housing, infrastructure on road, infrastructure in new technology, and so on. I consider it as it's going to be a smart government. We are talking about smart government, where all the process is digitalized and the paperwork is totally eliminated. We have a green management. It is really going to be implemented. We have paperless organization that will going to be implemented in the new capital, and for all different governmental sector and ministry sector. Of course, when you transfer people with this old-fashioned style of management to a new style of management, it needs a lot of preparation, it needs a lot of training, and that's what we have been done for the last 3 years with the employee of our ministry and so on.
Actually, you just pinpointed your finger on my next question. And yes, indeed, when the President spoke today with the Prime Minister and Ministers, he spoke about not just modernizing of buildings and premises, but also the qualification of workers.
Absolutely.
And the provision of training programs to the government personnel to teach them to the modern scientific methods.
Absolutely.
How from yesterday we have seen the President also taking, not yesterday, but rather this dawn, we've seen the President taking suhoor with the workers inside the administrative capital, along or just as he was inaugurating the Islamic Center. So, from your point of view, how would training personnel, teaching them how to deal, and all the programs of qualifications contribute to the shift towards a smart government, as you respectively said?
We worked in several dimensions. The first dimension, we taught these people interpersonal skills, some communication skills, and another dimension, we taught this employee how to deal with the new technology and so on. Remember, last year, President Sisi talked about fourth industrial revolution. It is not only dealing with the equipment and so on, but how to think, how to add value for your work process, and how to eliminate part of the process in order to speed up the process, and all of that in order to attract more and more foreign direct investment to our country and so on. And remember, the more we attract more foreign direct investment, the more we'll be able to sustain ourselves for foreign currency and so on, and we'll be enabled to reduce the budget deficit in the future. Of course, investing in human resource, I believe human resource is the investing in capital in human resources. It will enable us to reduce the costs in the future, and we come up with new idea and more creativity in our work place in order to enhance and be sustainable in the future.
Going towards the new republic, we are aware that just at the beginning of last year, the new republic was announced, and it was announced officially. That required lots and lots of efforts and action.
Absolutely.
How do you view the efforts exerted so far in order to be able to go to that step?
Absolutely. This movement, it's a huge movement, of course, where people got used to their old workplace and so on. So when we talk about that, we're talking about change. And one of the programs we taught these people for the last 3 years how to cope with the change. In order to understand change and you work with the change will be successful. But if not, it will become a resistance to change. And we have two forces, the forces of change and the forces of resistance to change. When the forces of, after training, forces of change, it became greater than the resistance and the movement, it will be successful in the future. And that's, as I told you, it is not yesterday or last week or last month, but we started that like 3 years ago. And during the Corona pandemic, we continued to really prepare our human resources, our workforce, in order to cope with all these dimensions I talked about.
Dr. Said, could you imagine 3 years or 2020, we started with this pandemic. We were not even able to go to the streets, and we were able to withstand that time. Last year, there was this, the start of this war, and up till this minute, we are able to withstand the crises and the developments that are occurring, and thank God, can we even imagine the hard work that we've been through in order to be able to just withstand and stand on our feet up till this minute? Anyway.
That's an Egyptian, by the way. We work with the challenge. We work very hard in order to overcome this challenge, and we never shut down during the Corona pandemic with the Russian-Ukrainian war, the supply chain and the logistic. And I consider all of that, it's an opportunity for Egypt to attract more and more foreign direct investment. And my belief, President Sisi back in his mind, and let me say, he's a leader, and he doesn't believe the sky is not the limit for him. He always looking for Egypt to be one of the most developed nation in the future, and he's working very hard on that. And he always believed in teamwork orientation. He's not working by himself, but he really participates, as you mentioned, for example, with suhoor and so on. He believed in transparency. He working very hard day and night in order to make Egypt better in the future. And it will be. And that's Egyptian people really believe in that and working hard on that in order to enhance our economic development in the future.
When we started our developmental or sustainable development vision, the leadership and the government was very much keen to take the development and social justice or serving or protecting the citizens parallel to each other. How do you view how those two lines went in parallel?
That is a strategy, first of all, where we have about 60% of our population. It is really in poverty and so on. And the Decent Life Initiative, considered by the United Nations, it's not my saying, it's the United Nations, it is one of the mega projects worldwide, and really, it really working for, and the strategy was what we used to do before Decent Life Initiative. We used to have welfare. Now we have workfare. Workfare, it means instead of giving subsidy by food and so on, we start to build these people in order to initiate their own business and working hard by providing them with the investment, with providing them with finance, with idea, and with marketing at the same time. And we saw a lot of role models for regular people who develop their project and become part of productive, and that is called workfare instead of welfare. And that is a strategy working very well. And remember, with Decent Life Initiative, in all different parts of Egypt, Upper Egypt and the valley and all of these poor villages and so on, they start to have initiate and start up their business and become a source of income, not depending on welfare. And that is the whole idea.
I love very much the word workfare that you spoke about.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my time is out, Dr. Sayed, and we have to end it here. But indeed, there has been enormous work that has been taking place throughout the past few years, and we are in
Happy Ramadan.
Indeed, a happy Ramadan and a blessed one for you and all your beloved ones, and may it be a blessed one for all Muslims around the globe.
Inshallah.
Thank you. And I guess that brings us to the end of this episode. Many thanks for watching, and again, a happy Ramadan for all Muslims around the globe.